Hi there. In this training video, I wanted to talk to you about how to best format a blog for your website to get the maximum impact. So essentially creating content for SEO. This is something that can be a bit tricky sometimes, because you want to make sure the content hits all of Google's kind of markers, preferred layouts, their optimization best practice, data, etc. You want to make sure it hits all of that, but at the end of the day, you're still writing for a person. So you need to make sure that what you are creating does the job for both Google, but then also for the client once they find it and read it. So my first rule is always write for a person first and foremost, and then for Google. You create content for your ideal customer. You don't create content for a search bot. But what you do is you make sure that that content you're creating, when you're creating it, you're thinking also about the things that you need to have in there to not only make an impact with Google, but to also help your click-through rate. Because yourself and Google will have the same customer at one point, and you want the best for them. So when that person is typing into Google looking for whatever product and service you have to offer, at that point they're Google's customer, and Google only wants to give their customer the best results possible. You need to make sure that your website is the answer to that query. And to prove to Google that you are the best result possible, that's where we follow their best practice rules. And in doing so, you create content that will answer your customer's query in depth, will solve their problem, and will take them further down your buying journey to becoming a customer. The key thing, however, is to make sure you keep it natural. You don't want to keyword stuff. You don't want it to sound robotic. You do not want to use AI and just lift it completely. You could use AI for helping you create templates or outlines of blog posts, for coming up with some ideas of what to include, but it should never completely write your content. So I thought I would show you, we'll just go over use my site as an example, for some of the things that I include in all the content that I am creating for my clients. Now, I always start with a keyword, and what I do is I have my main keyword, and then I answer some people also ask questions, which you can find just by putting your main keyword into Google and scrolling down to the people also ask questions, and try to answer 2 or 3 of those as well. Now, depending on the industry you're in will depend on the length your blog content should be. The general rule of thumb is you really need a main cluster content post to be at least 1,500 words preferably, but what you can do is look and see what's currently ranking for that search term in your industry and how long it is, and that will give you a good idea. As long as you're slightly longer than that, you should be okay. So for example, my average for my industry is actually near 3,000 words. So I always need to make sure that I'm keeping that in mind. So I'm going to start with this one here, understanding content clusters. That was my main keyword. Right at the very top, I have an image, and as you can see, the image is optimized for the keyword. You can see the alt text popping up there. You can set the alt text in the back end of your site. Then I include a table of contents. This makes it really easy for people to navigate down the site, and it shows Google that my content is organized and that it is well structured, and it lets people know everything that I'm going to be talking about in that post. This is especially beneficial when you have a long blog post, because not everyone will maybe want to read every single part of it. So here I have my keyword again as an H1 header, and I keep my paragraphs relatively short because you want your content to be skimmable, especially with the new Google Search Console result page. The new Google Search Engine result page, You want it to be easy to read. It's something they're looking for. Snackable content is the phrase that's used. So keep my paragraph short, and I answer roughly what I'm going to talk about in the blog. I then have H2 headers with the additional questions. So what are content clusters? How should you organise your content clusters? What are the benefits of using content clusters? How do you choose your topics? what does your content cluster need, common mistakes to avoid, etc. So what I've done is I've used search engine tools, and I have started with my main keyword, and then I've found all of those additional people also ask questions. And the really good thing about that is it actually helps you write your blog quite quickly and easily, because there's a more structure to it, so you're only having to think maybe a couple of paragraphs at a time how you can answer that question. Okay, I've answered that question, now how do I answer the next one? It makes it easier to write, and it gives you a natural flow. The next thing I look to do is include links. So internal links to related clusters. Now this post is all about content clusters. So that's where you group content together like a little mini knowledge hub of related content. So this for me, content clusters, comes under my copywriting content cluster. So a content cluster essentially about content clusters. But I will link to and from other posts on my site that are about writing blogs and formatting blogs, etc. Anything that's related. I've got a keyword cluster that covers all the aspects of keywords. I've got one that covers all the aspects of internal linking and meta descriptions, etc. So there's different types of links. You get navigational links, which are along the top here, and you'll sometimes find them on the bottom. Now this is a blog site, so I don't have them on the bottom, but for our agency site we have them in the footer as well. But what we're looking for here is the in-content links, so contextual links essentially. And these are links that will take you to other relevant pages in my site. So for example, content clusters is an SEO strategy, and it's all about content. So it falls into two categories for me. So if you click that one there, you'll see it takes them to a page that's all about my SEO strategy cluster. And what you want to do is rinse and repeat the same formula for all of them. So I have several internal links throughout this page. I tend to say round about 2 internal links for every 1,000 words and 1 external link. So I will also have a link on here going to an authority resource that isn't mine, that's related to what I'm talking about. So this one is all about how to create Venn diagrams. Sometimes I'll link out to SEMrush or marketing surveys. Sometimes I'll link out to the Prince's Trust and Business Gateway. It's about choosing what is relevant for your industry. I will also include call to actions dotted around. So here you go, you can see here, booking a mini keyword bundle, a free SEO strategy template that people can download. So I will have those calls to action there too. So the internal links, the call to actions, the small paragraphs, the headers. All my images are optimized for the keyword. You can see here I will have internal like different images that back up what I'm saying. I like to use mixed media wherever possible. So the other thing that I'm actually looking to do just now is go through all my blog posts and add an audio version, where I'll just record the blog post as an audio, like a podcast, and pop it on the bottom too. And some of my videos, my blog posts also have videos that go along with them as well. Google like mixed media so that people have a choice of how they consume your content, and it's definitely something worth thinking about. Then I do social sharing. So come down, I've written all of this. I always try to have at least one bullet pointed section in as many blogs as possible, because they're easy for Google to grab and display in the search engine results page. So as you can see, I've got them dotted around here. Then I've got a Pinterest share, and I've also got other sharing buttons throughout the site. I used to have a click to tweet this option, but Twitter hasn't really been working well for that, so I'm not using that at the moment. But just it's all about making sure that it's easy for people to share your content. And so that's my kind of main tips and strategies on how to create blog content for your website. I would say you need to be adding at least one blog post a month to your website for it to have any real impact. However, life sometimes happens and that isn't the case. I like to do, for my clients, I tend to do a minimum of 2 a month, preferably 1 a week, to get the biggest impact. And I map out blog content plans 6 to 12 months in advance, so that I always know what I'm doing, and I will just batch create the content and then schedule it in so that I don't have to think about it every month. So I will create 3 months worth of content at a time, and it's just always ready to go. Hopefully you found this helpful. I'm always over on Marion at the SEOupcycler.com. If you have any questions about this, just ask.